Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the final round of the GP2 series for 2009. This is the sprint race, the second race here at the Algarve roller coaster of racing in Portimao in Portugal. My name's Tony Carter, alongside me is Tom Gaymore. Tom, great to have you here in the commentary booth. Thanks for joining us. Before we get to the start of the race proper, we have to talk about some changes to the grid that have happened since yesterday's race. Some exclusions and some people penalised for clipping certain sections of the course.
Yes, absolutely, Tony. We see Michael Herc has been disqualified. Now, Michael had a great performance. I think he finished up in 6th place, which was actually DPR's highest performance, or best performance of the year, I should say, scoring their first points. And it looks like they're now going to become one of the only teams in the history of GP2, or the only team in the history of GP2 never to score a point throughout the whole year, unless Johnny Cicotto or Michael can actually make a lot of progress from the back of the grid, which, judging by their pace throughout the year, I don't think will be possible. Teixeira, Rigon, D'Ambrosio and Van der Garde all got penalties for cutting the second corner. Now, the second corner is a very tight chicane, very quick entry, and I think that was the beginning of the race, Tony.
Yeah.
But it's a harsh penalty.
Absolutely, it does seem harsh. They put them back down the back of the grid. We'll just quickly run through the grid then. It's Alex Zuber who does move up into pole position, first time this year. Next to him, Belsechi, who we saw have that great drive yesterday to 6th place, 7th place, so he's down to 2nd in the new grid. Then Kamui Kobayashi is in 3rd, Rodriguez 4th, and then Vitaly Petrov 5th, 2nd overall in the championship this year. Then De Grassi, then we see Felipe, Hulkenberg, Kloss, Razia, Pastor Maldonado moves down to 11th. Then Nunes, Villa, Rigon, Teixeira, the guys who are penalised for cutting, they've been moved down the order. Then Parent, the local man, he's up in 16th place on the grid. Perez, Valerio, Chandok, remember Chandok yesterday had a nightmare on the Ocean Racing car, out of the order fairly early on. All he could do was watch his teammate Parent go out there and ultimately have trouble finishing that race. Then Mortara, who also ended the race by the side of the track. Johnny Cicotto is down in 21st, then D'Ambrosio in 22nd. Guido Van der Garde, another driver who was penalised, really awful for him, down in 23rd on the grid. And right at the back is Herc in 24th. Now, Wilke was disqualified for irregularities to the car. He was allowed to start, but right from the very back of the grid.
Watch out for Guido Van der Garde, very quick. I think we'll see him moving up from the back of the field. I'm showing Teixeira is in the pit on the timing screen, so it'll be interesting to see whether or not he makes his way onto the grid. I don't know, I can't see if he's in the lineup right now. We shall see if there's an empty grid spot.
Teixeira should be in 15th place on the grid, but pole position man Zuber, they're trying to keep as much heat in the tyres as possible. All the drivers staying over to the left hand side. You don't want to get onto the right hand side of the track, as we're looking at it now, where all the dirt is, until the last possible moment. You don't want to pick too much up on your tyres.
We saw Hulkenberg make a great start from the left hand side of the grid yesterday. Having said that, De Grassi was quick away. Kloss spun the wheels and went backwards from that front row spot on the well, his right, our left. But yeah, definitely the favourite side of the grid will be the left. That's the cleanest side. So I think Andre Zuber, experienced guy. We've got yellow flags. That's just because the final car is lining up. So here we go. Over to you, Tony.
So here we go then for the final time of asking in 2009, the GP2 series from Portimao, Portugal. We're waiting for the lights that you're seeing there at the top of the screen to come on, and then they will go off. When they go off, it will be action stations into that tricky first turn. It's found so many. Definitely a jump start there, Tom. They look like a massive jump start.
No, I think that what's happened is they flashed red. Which means that we're actually going for another formation.
Another formation lap, absolutely. So getting a bit too carried away with myself at the start. Easy to do though when you're sitting virtually on the back of the grid looking up there. And easy to do also to stall it on the grid for drivers.
Well, that Johnny hasn't got away there, but he didn't even make the grid lineup in yesterday's race.
Johnny Cicotto, a man we should...
Having a problematic weekend. Let's hope that they get him back into the pit lane, get him restarted, and he can start from the end of the pit lane, just albeit a few seconds behind everybody else. But with this problematic first corner, we haven't talked about that. We see, I think these red lights will flash. Yes, they flashed.
They did flash. A bit hard to see on the monitor from the onboards, but they did flash. That means everybody has to go around to another side.
Yeah,
quite rightly, as you say though, Tom, quite rightly as you say about Johnny Cicotto, came in at Monza for the first time, did pretty well there.
Yeah,
2 DNFs, but the racing itself was pretty good.
I think he actually qualified his more experienced teammate. So you know, with equal equipment, that's your first goal, to outperform your teammate. And if he is more experienced and it is your first time in the car, it is very tricky when you come in at the end of the season. So he did an incredibly good job. Having said that, he's been very unfortunate now this weekend because mechanical failures, no fault of his own. The car has let him down, so he'll be looking to try and get going and get some laps under his belt. Otherwise, he's come all the way to Portugal for a holiday.
Well, at least he's got the weather with him this time for this race. What we saw yesterday were tricky conditions at some point. It did look like some spots of rain were falling. Some of the drivers were being caught out by that tricky first turn as well. So some drivers having problems there, running off line, running off the track, but managing to get on. There is Johnny Cicotto. Well, he has made it back to the pit lane, but they're going to see if they can get him started there. They've got blowers obviously going into that engine, trying to keep the temperature down as best they can whilst the rest of the grid come up and form up. He'll start from that pit lane when the rest of the grid has gone past him, so already put himself on the back foot. He was down in 21st on the grid.
Yeah,
so
it looks like he's just stalled it there then, so maybe a bit of a blame apportioned to the driver there, but these GP2 cars are notoriously difficult to get off the start line, so you know, we'll wait to hear after the race as to what his problem was. I just want to talk about the first corner though. Portimao is, it lends itself to let's say a little bit of drama. This is the GP2 finale. Some of these boys are no stranger, or they're no strangers to drama. Some of them create drama rather well. And,
how politically correct of you.
I think with some of the mentalities, or the mentality, let's say, I think some of these drivers will be, you know, pushing very hard to win this race, and some of them might try and win it in the first corner, because overtaking is difficult here. There's only one or two favoured spots, so two lines into one for this tight chicane don't mix. So I'll be surprised if we do not see an incident.
Okay, let's go through the grid one more time and get some clarity on this, as the guys are still out there, still going around under the waved yellows. And it is Zuba who is on pole after all the disqualifications and ramifications after yesterday's race. He finds himself on pole. Number 2 is Valsecchi to the left of the screen as you're looking at him then, at it there. Then Kamui Kobayashi is in 3rd, Rodriguez 4th, Petrov 5th, De Grassi 6th, Filippi 7th, 8th is Hulkenberg, then Kloss, Razia, Maldonado, Nunes, Villa, Rigon, Texera, Parent, the local hero, he's down in 16th place, then Perez, Valerio, Chanduk, Mortara, Cicotto, who we see now from the pit lane, D'Ambrosio, Van der Garde and Herc from the back of the grid after his disqualification for what's been deemed as irregularities on the car. There's lots of things that can happen in this race, Tom. We see Herc at the back, and as you say, Guido Van der Garde will be up there. We're on board with Vitaly Petrov though. He's in 5th. 2nd overall in the championship. He'll be looking for a good start here. We'll just look for the lights to go out. Hopefully they will go out this time, and we will be away for the first time of asking proper in the sprint race here at Portimao. The lights are on, they're off. We're getting a great start. Oh, awful start from Vitaly Petrov. Well, Petrov's hand goes up, nothing he could do. Oh, massive moment, huge collision at the back. That looked like possibly Herc going into the back of Petrov. That was awful.
That'll be an immediate safety car. A lot of damage there. Let's hope both the drivers are okay. He was on. It's the worst possible. It's the worst possible circumstances. Vitaly, you're a sitting duck, and the drivers at the back of the grid, you're just unsighted. So yeah, safety car's out.
Unsurprisingly, but as you quite rightly said, Tom, there's nothing drivers can do. The guys behind him in the grid, they're unsighted effectively because everybody else around them is moving, and nothing anybody can do. All Petrov can do is put his hands up, try to bring as much notification as he can to the guys behind, but they'll be closing in at 100 miles an hour by the time they get there.
Absolutely. You have 2-3 cars in front of you. They're sighted. As they move out the way, all of a sudden you're left with a car in front of you, and it's very, very difficult to make any adjustments to where you're travelling to, and you end up travelling straight into the scene of the accident. It looks like both drivers,
well,
Vitaly is definitely having a word with the medical crews that have surrounded the car now, and on the left-hand side we're yet to see who's actually hit him. It might be Herc. I think it's Herc.
The initial reaction was that it was Herc, just because of the speed, really, and the fact he was trying to come across the track.
We got a red flag, so the cars will make their way behind Andre Zuba slowly to the start and finish straight, where they will line up, switch off, and regather their thoughts, whilst the damaged cars are seen to, and hopefully both the drivers are seen to and cared for by the medical crews that are both down there now.
So the red flag out, and Zuber will lead the pack round into pit lane, where they'll just have to wait really for the debris and the carnage that has happened after this horrific collision at Portimao to be cleared away. Vitaly Petrov, and at the moment we think that's Herc down there as well, who's crashed into the back of him. Well, that is great, a great sight. Great to see that Vitaly Petrov is indeed okay, albeit a bit slowly and a bit shaking up his team now, obviously quite concerned for their man, but Vitaly Petrov climbing out of the car. So and now yes, making a few careful steps back to pit lane. Great medical service at these international races, as you would come to expect, and a tough job now for the marshals to clear all this away. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but at least Vitaly Petrov seems to be fairly fit and well after what has been an horrific start to the first sprint race here at Portimao for the GP2 series. So the new race will be 38 minutes long from flag to flag, a dash for the drivers in this final outing for the GP2 series here at the roller coaster of racing at Portimao in the Algarve, and the Portuguese, not far from the Portuguese coast, about 40 minutes from Faro Airport. If you come barreling into Portugal and you want to come here, it's about 40 minutes up the motorway, and a jolly nice venue it is too. So this is Portugal, and you can see there the Portimao track. You get some idea of the elevations if you look over to the right, and you see the safety car now coming over one of the crests here. And as a circuit, Tom, it's a track that really tests the cars and the drivers. As you said, not an awful lot of places to overtake here at these sort of speeds for the GP2 cars, but still a track in itself.
This track has some unbelievable undulations, and there's a huge crest in between 9 and 10 that, if any of you have ever been to Brands Hatch, makes Paddock Hill look flat. If that's possible, believe you me, here we are now. When the cars come racing over here at 145 miles an hour, all of a sudden you're looking at the sky, and then you're resighted as you come back over the crest. But this place is brilliant. It's a real testimony to the designers. So often we see with the modern day circuits, you know, these big open wide circuits where everything's flat and you can see through the corners and it's incredibly boring. Here you have a lot of crests, very difficult to look through the corner, which for a driver's point of view makes it very, very difficult to position the car in the corner because you can't always see the exit from the entry. It really is a very, very difficult circuit to be consistent around here. You can get a quick lap out, but to be consistent, which Nico Hülkenberg was yesterday, very, very impressive.
So they're behind the safety car as they come out to get things rolling in this race. The time now 35 minutes left in this outing. We had such a tricky start with the collision between Michael Herc and Vitaly Petrov. So as the guys come around now, trying to work some heat into the tyres, build up some heat into the brakes. Not easy for a driver here to basically keep his focus, especially when the race is restarted basically behind a safety car, as we're seeing now.
Well, yes, as a driver, obviously, you plan for the big event, and the big event's already started, if you like. So now what you need to do is regather your thoughts and be nice and passive and controlled and measured, and understand, you know, what is required for you for the restart. Make sure you've got heat in the brakes, heat in the tyres, and obviously, you know, get a bit of fire in the belly, get fired up, and make it count from the first corner.
This is Degrassi slowing down again as he comes up back up the hill near the tower. You can see the control tower to the left there. That's actually going to be a huge hospitality suite at Portimao, so if you really like your racing, you could stay there. Imagine that if F1 does ever make its way over to Portimao. What a place to stop off that would be.
Yeah, you couldn't ring reception at 7 in the morning and complain about the noise, could you?
Right then, let's put hospitality to one side and take you through the running order at the moment. We do have Andre Zuber, who's leading this race. He had a great start in the very first part before we had our stoppage between the collision that involved Petrov and Herc. So Zuber it is who leads, and Valsecchi is in second, Degrassi is in third, Kamui Kobayashi fourth, Nico Hülkenberg, the newly crowned champion, who took the crown at the last round at Monza. He is in 5th. Then Pastor Maldonado 6th. Perez, Felipe, Rodriguez and Klos see out the top 10. Then Villa, Razia, that winner from Monza, just not having such a good weekend of it here at Portimao, is in 12th. Nunes 13th, and Parent, Valerio, Chanduk, well, he stayed on the track this time. He fell off yesterday. Let's see how he gets on the rest of today. Then Guido van der Garde, who was right at the back of the grid in 23rd place. He actually made a really good leap up the grid early on in that first part, and he's in 17th. Then D'Ambrosio, so fast at Monza. We'll see if he can do a repeat performance here in this sprint race. Then Mortara, who finished yesterday's race in the gravel trap, he's up to 19th. Then Rigon, Johnny Cicotto in 21st.
Are we getting ready for a restart here?
And then Teixeira. When we see the safety
yes,
car,
here
the lights are out, so we can see that.
Zuba's
so that's
made
it.
the jump very, very early. Is he going to catch the safety car? I hope not.
Oh, that's going to be a massive penalty. He's going to have a drive-through surely for that.
Well, I'm not entirely sure of the jurisdiction there, but that could have been incredibly dangerous. Caught the safety car before the safety car entered the pit lane. But here we are into turn 1.
Zuba then diving up the inside, Valsecchi just behind him. You can see the fat burner car of Di Grassi trying to barge up the inside of that. That was Kamui Kobayashi. He did manage to get up the inside. Fantastic.
Felipe's made a place.
So Zuba, Valsecchi, Kobayashi, Di Grassi. So Kobayashi's got back past Di Grassi on the way up. Then Hulkenberg further down the aisle. Hulkenberg is now in 5th, just behind Kamui Kobayashi. You've got to favour that move that Hulkenberg will make on Kobayashi. Surely it's going to come, and we're on board with Nico Hulkenberg. That's Di Grassi right in front of him on the fat burner car. You can see the big yellow wing barking at Hulkenberg, egging him on to try and make a move. Going to be tough over the hill here as they come down into the fast right. Yeah, hold the gear, wait for the corner to come round. It tightens at this point, and then you're climbing back up the hill. Unsighted, you come over the crest. Can Hulkenberg make anything of Di Grassi and the yellow and red car as they're coming round? Difficult to tell at this point. Perez just behind Hulkenberg. If Hulkenberg's not careful, Perez will have no problem in sticking that car up the inside.
It's Felipe, our pace setter from yesterday. You have Felipe, Hulkenberg and Di Grassi very, very quick in yesterday's race. They're nose to tail, the three of them now, and I wouldn't be surprised if certainly Di Grassi can get past Kobayashi. He's not quite close enough. Hulkenberg looks racy, and so does Felipe on the back of them. Felipe made a great move up the inside of Perez into turn 1. Let's see if anybody's close enough for the toe up this straight.
Doesn't look like it as they're coming around.
No.
Mind you, saying that, it does look like Kobayashi got a good lick out of that.
Here we go.
So wheel to wheel as they're coming over the start-finish, drop down at the end of the start-finish straight, and Perez just slots it in beautifully.
Rodriguez and Villa there with Danny Klos behind those. Here we go, big move. Felipe got it done.
Very nicely done indeed.
Left that very, very late. Hulkenberg wasn't really expecting it, and then once he got up the inside, Hulkenberg's going to be under pressure here going into turn 6.
How hard was Hulkenberg working as he started to come up the hill there? The car was slewing from left to right. A tank slapper in all senses of the word as he was coming around. His hands whipping right, whipping left as he's chasing down the guys in front.
Well, he was very, very lucky that Maldonado, his teammate, wasn't closer to take advantage of that mistake, because he had a very, very slow run out of turn 5, and he could have really paid the price into 6 there, which is one of the major overtaking points into that middle hairpin where the hospitality suite is.
That is Nico Hulkenberg we're talking about there, just going through the picture now on the red and white car, and he is the newly crowned champion for this year. A fantastic season for him, surely a great F1 future as well, especially if the much rumoured talks about him possibly going to Williams next year. He has tested the car before, of course,
right,
but now it looks like he's on.
Zubo lapping very quickly at the front. Valsecchi struggling to keep the pace. Kobayashi is behind Valsecchi. I think we need to keep an eye on Felipe and Di Grassi here, see if Felipe, if he has any aspirations of winning this race, he's got to make some serious progress. I don't think he's close enough now. Here we...
Well, a massive replay. That looked like almost a collision there between Di Grassi.
Well, they just hit a big bump, didn't they?
Well, they hit a big bump, but there was another big almost collision there, and I would wonder whether Di Grassi just rolled off very slightly because of the safety car.
I don't think he would have lifted. No, Kobayashi has got a very, very strong run on him, and he was a sitting duck. He just sits to the inside. He can't do much, but he's tried to do the move. He's tried to get him back. Kobayashi will hold on, and there's that big yellow bump that we talk about. Very good driving by the pair of them, gave each other room there.
Got to be so close. What are we looking at here? Oh, Chanduk. Well, Chanduk replicating virtually what he did yesterday in the feature race. Did manage to restart the race.
Who have we got going slowly here? That is Rodriguez, one of the PK GP cars.
So out of 9th place goes Rodriguez, terminal failure by the looks of things as he dropped off.
That's our third retirement.
So no mention yet of any sort of penalty for Zuber. It looks like the marshals have had a look at that. They will have looked again at it on the TV footage.
It's very, very difficult to judge actually, because turn 14 is so far away from 15. 15 is so quick, it's unsighted, it's blind. You don't want to be a sitting duck on the straight like we saw with Degrassi and Kobayashi, so you've got to make the move very, very early to go, and Zuber did back the field up, and he thought he had a reasonable gap, but it wasn't sufficient. But obviously the safety car was right over to the right hand side, but it would have given Zuber a bit of a shock when he came through the exit of 15 and saw the safety car still on the circuit.
So Zuber leads from Valsecchi, Kobayashi, Degrassi, 5th is Felipe, then Hulkenberg, Pastor Maldonado and Perez. Perez sees out the top 8 as they cross the line on that lap.
Zuber's still our pace setter, 32.9 at the front of the field. We got Felipe and Hulkenberg 33.0 to the pair of them. Maldonado 33.1, Perez 33.0. Slowest of the front runners is Kama Kobayashi 33.6. That's a 1 minute 33.6. So Degrassi will be looking to put him under pressure. He's 0.3 of a second behind him. Here we see him now. Very much single file through this part of the circuit, but he'll be looking to get nice and close here, get a good run out of here.
So this is Kamui Kobayashi in the dark grey silver car, and just behind him in the red and yellow car is Degrassi, and you can really see coming under all sorts of pressure there with Felipe just behind Degrassi. So a real fight. Oh, Degrassi puts the wheel up the inside, tries to dive up the inside of Kamui Kobayashi. Kobayashi says you're not having that, shuts the door on him.
He's close enough to get a toe up the start and finish straight here.
You think he'll be into turn 1?
It all depends on wing. I mean, Kobayashi seems to be very quick in a straight line, but here we go, on board with Degrassi. Can he pick up the slipstream? Kobayashi's very, very quick in a straight line, but here we go.
That'll come now.
He's chosen the...
Oh, swings right up the inside. Will he do a dive up the inside? Can he hold the line though? Will he drift wide? He will drift wide, but Kobayashi, Felipe.
Kobayashi, Hulkenberg's going to take them both, is he? No, he's stuck on the outside now.
Brilliant! Wheel in the dirt as well from Felipe. Well, Kobayashi...
He has, Felipe's done them both.
Unbelievable. Great move as well. Hulkenberg, you got the feeling Hulkenberg wanted to take them both, just couldn't find a way through.
Yeah, he got... Well, Kobayashi got the power down and Hulkenberg was stuck on the outside. And once he got stuck on the outside, he knew that any aspirations of taking them both were short-lived. But a great bit of driving from Felipe, and now we'll see if Degrassi can get up to the back of David Valsecchi and carry on his march towards the back of Andre Zuber, who is 2.6 seconds clear at the front of the field now. Again, 32.9 from Zuber. He's comfortably quicker than anybody else.
An amazing drive so far from Zuber, leading the whole field by a good couple of seconds ahead of Valsecchi. Good solid second right for him as well, but all the action is going on just behind. Degrassi has just got past Kobayashi, and it's an astonishing ride here. Well, this is Zuber going past the safety car on the right. Now, for all my very limited knowledge in what goes on in the mind of drivers,
like he's going incredibly slowly though.
But you can't pass him before the start of that.
I know, but it's unsighted. So obviously the Zuber has come out of 14, left a big enough gap, or what he thought was a big enough gap, and then he's got into 15, which is blind entry, and he's got halfway through the corner, seen the safety car there. But having said that, have we got some drive-through penalties here?
But if we haven't had any,
both
any
the
notification
ART
of it.
cards,
there you go.
Both the ARTs, that's Hulkenberg ahead of Pasternado going nose to tail, so it's synchronised swimming, if you like, for those two through the pit lane. We're yet to find out as to why they are in the pit for their drive-through penalty.
Well, that's an absolute nightmare for the race, because that's Hulkenberg and Pastor Maldonado, as you quite rightly said, Tom. Now, they flick the limiters off and then they can rejoin the track, but to what effect? They're out of this race now, and that's robbed the fans and indeed us of some great racing, because Hulkenberg and Maldonado are right up there.
Well, it's given Pastor Maldonado an opportunity to try and beat his teammate for the first time this year, albeit for last place.
Parent, the local man here in the Ocean Racing Technology car making another move up, so Parent goes up to, where is he? Let's just have a quick look. He's up to 10th now. That would probably be 9th now, but he's making his way up through the field. Better than yesterday, it has to be said. He had a gearbox failure in qualifying, so I had to start from the back of the grid, even though he didn't set a time. He was given special dispensation to do that.
Degrassi's just set a fastest first sector.
So Degrassi then, who is getting the hammer down and going for it as he comes round. You see Perez and Vila and Kloss.
Yeah, one thing these guys have got to watch is they're on the super soft tyre, which we've seen used once or twice. Another drive-through penalty here. Why are we in the pits? Who is this? It's one of our front runners.
It's not Kobayashi, is it? Diving up the
Kobayashi.
inside? If that's Kobayashi, that's going to be doubly galling for him to be in the pits as he's coming through. It is Kobayashi who has dived in, so Koba has to come into the box.
I'm wondering why we've got an Arden car in front of Felipe as well.
I wonder if, Tom, it's to do with sticking your tyre on the inside of turn 1. We've seen that. We know that some drivers were penalised from yesterday's racing, including Texier, Rigon D'Ambrosio, Guido van der Garde. Those drivers were penalised heavily by the stewards. They had it made very clear that you don't drop your wheel into turn 1 on the inside.
Yeah, and I made no secret of saying I thought it was harsh at the time, and if that is the case, I think it's harsh. Again, if you do not gain a position, I don't see the problem. Obviously, if you do it regularly, then it's a bit more of a problem. But obviously, that must be expensive paint, or they're scared of the drivers doing something to the paint. The only thing I can think of is that they passed under the safety car.
Yes, absolutely.
There was a whole lot of gaggles running, a whole lot of gaggle of cars running into turn 6 when the safety car boards came out on that initial lap, and my only thought is that they've overtaken under yellows.
Take on board your point perfectly, and Zuba. So here we go then. This is Zuba coming in, and that will be Degrassi coming in behind him. It must be something to do with passing the safety car. As we debated here in the commentary booth, you can't pass the safety car before the start of the pit lane entry. That's the white line on the outside. So this is really going to shake things up now in the race.
Well, I tell you what, we've got Valseki's actually leading this race now. So having said that, I think he'll be pushing very hard to win it. He's found himself leading it.
Which then makes me wonder, going back...
Felipe is a very good bet now to win this race.
But that makes me wonder, going back to the point we raised with Degrassi, it almost looked to me like he rolled off, as he saw the safety car, he rolled off a little bit and sort of suffered on the start.
Yeah, but that's not, you can't prove that in this instant, and Kobayashi didn't pass Degrassi before.
It's great working with you drivers, it really is. You can't prove that. I can imagine you in front of a bank of stewards. You can't prove that. So.
Well, they can at the end of the race, but certainly not during the race.
Not whilst all this is going on. The ship to shore is good, but Hulkenberg now putting in the fastest lap. Well, it's going to be a bit of a poor end really for the newly crowned champion. He would have wanted to go out of this final round, no doubt, standing on the podium somewhere, ideally on top of it, of course, but to be penalised, that's basically robbed him now. Hulkenberg is down in 18th place.
Maybe they penalised the front runners for passing the safety car before it had entered the pit lane. I'll throw another guess into the works.
You drivers. You're always looking for those excuses, for those extra tenths. Okay.
Anyway, obviously, none of them would be guilty, so...
Oh, no. All totally innocent. Absolutely innocent of any charges. Absolutely. Right, let's get a run through then. Let's tidy this up a little bit, because it has been a really rather strange couple of laps now with all the drive-through penalties that the drivers have had to go through for whatever reasons. Leading this is Valsecchi.
Felipe
is in second, 2.6 seconds behind. Then Perez behind him, 4.9 down. Then Villa, Kloss, Perez. So he's now up to 6th for the local man who was at the back of the grid yesterday after that gearbox failure on the Ocean Racing car. Fantastic for him. Local man coming good. He's in 6th.
Okay, so what we're looking at is Valsecchi trying to win this race. Felipe, our pace setter from from yesterday's race, is closing. He was half a second quicker than Valsecchi on that last lap. He's now 2.6 seconds behind. He is my bet to win this race. If I was a betting man, I would put my money on Luca Filippi catching Valsecchi in the 14 laps that we have left and putting a pass on him. Having said that, it'll be interesting to see, you know, if David can put the pressure to the back of his mind and push hard. But no, he's got to drive through.
He's got to drive through in as well. Well, as we wondered, it would have been weird for him not to get one because he was there or thereabouts as they were passing that safety car. So that puts Felipe into a fantastically strong position, as you said. He's running 33, mid-33s, 33.5, Perez 33.4.
Well, Valsecchi's in. Now, will Felipe have to pit? Because if Felipe doesn't have to pit, then he's our runaway winner.
So this is Valsecchi coming in on the Bauer Adax team car for his drive-through penalty.
Let's try and pick the next drive-through rather than the race winner, shall we, Tony?
I think we've almost had them all now. It'll be the safety car who's being forced to go out and have a drive-through at this rate. I don't think there's very many people out there. So Felipe does now move into the lead. He's gone past Valsecchi, who's gone into the pit lane for his drive-through penalty. Then Perez, Villa, Kloss is now fifth. Parent up to sixth, well, up to fifth effectively by the time Valsecchi comes out. So Parent will now be up to fifth. I keep banging on about it, but for the Ocean Racing Technology team, who are having a nightmare, it's turned into a good result.
As we see, is that Hulkenberg and De Grassi
chopping his way through, now chomping onto the back of De Grassi. So this is Hulkenberg, who is in 18th place, De Grassi in front of him, who is in
17th and 18th.
Usually
who knows,
right up the front.
If they keep handing out the drive-throughs, this could be the this could be for a top 6. But yeah, going back to Kloss, Parent and Via, or Via, Kloss, Parent in that order, 4th, 5th and 6th, they are very, very close together. And Parent will sniff a podium now. If he can get past Kloss and Via, then he's in 4th position, and he's not far away from Perez. So with the 13 laps that we have left, podium from the back of the field on your home Grand Prix, or Grand Prix, should I say?
Well, yes, effectively,
it's his Grand Prix.
It's his Grand Prix. He's at Portimao, a Portuguese driver. This is as good as his Grand Prix.
And I tell you what, that'll be a mega result for Perent. How are we doing? Guido van der Garde from the back of the grid up to 8th now, so he's doing my tip well.
We're now on board with De Grassi looking back at Hulkenberg, and you get some idea of just how this mythical piece of elastic between them stretches and then contracts as they go into the corners, hard on the brakes, and then they pull back round. But crossing the line, it is Felipe, Perez behind him, then Villa right up Perez's tail as he's trying to chop round the outside. Will he drive round the outside into turn 1? We have seen it, not this time though. Perez managed to keep it all tight in there to let Felipe through.
That's an Ocean car.
Villa through, my apologies.
That's
Parent.
That's Chandok and Razier. Yeah, that's Chandok and Razier for 12th and 13th place. Getting very racy, the pair of them.
Well, Chandok didn't finish the race yesterday, ended up by the side of the track, so he's looking to gain some
Razier left it very late to pull out of the slipstream there, leaving nothing to chance.
So, from the top, it's Felipe, then Perez, Villa, Kloss, Parent, Nunez, Guido van der Garde, who started this race down in 23rd place at the very start. Amazing for him to get a result. Then Valerio. Then Mortara, D'Ambrosio, Rigon, Chandok, who we just saw dicing with Razia. Then Johnny Cicotto in 14th, equaling his qualifying performance from Monza. Then Zuba and Valsecchi, De Grassi. The new champion Hulkenberg is in 18th. Pastor Maldonado, his teammate, just behind him. Kamui Kobayashi is in 20th. And Texera sees out the final running order here, down in 21st place.
Well, barring any other abnormalities, we seem to have run through the drive-through penalties. I do apologise for not actually knowing exactly what they're for. We can only but guess. So we are now looking at a true order, and Felipe is lapping very, very quickly at the front. He's just gone through 4/10 quicker than Perez in second, so he increases his lead to 3.5 seconds. With Javi Villa in 3rd position, who's slightly quicker than Perez on that lap, but is a full second behind the Mexican now.
Well, this is Parent closing down. Parent in the all-blue car. He was closing down on Kloss there, as you could see, and Kloss was definitely within striking distance for Parent on the Ocean Racing car. Now you see the blue car of Parent and Kloss on the red and yellow car in front of him as they're coming round to the final sort of third of the circuit. Now they start the climb up the hill, then it's a fast left, just like Coppice at Cadwell. That first flick up the hill as you come back up there into Craig Jones corner before you drop all the way down. This is the corner that apes Coppice at Cadwell. Full power as you're coming through there, just beautiful on camber. You let the corner do the work and the hill do the work before you come into this Craig Jones corner. Drop down with the back tyres, really hunting for grip as you're coming down. The compression at the bottom is massive. Climb back up the hill. That is a very big gradient, big climb there. the cameras really flatten it out before you come round into the penultimate lap. That's Kloss that we're looking at on the red and yellow car, with Parent, the local hero, on the Ocean Racing car behind him, coming into the penultimate corner. Then you're building all the way up. Oh, is that Pastor Maldonado is off into the gravel as he was coming back up the hill before he drops back down for that corner that we were just talking about. So Pastor getting a little bit ahead of himself there and just losing any advantage.
Yeah, turned his ART GP2 car into a rally car there.
Here we go, we can see it. Will this be Pastor going through? It will indeed. Clips the curbs, just rocks the car slightly, loses the grip, too much power and he's away.
Yeah, a bit hot-blooded into the corner there, pushing very hard, obviously not very happy with his drive-through penalty, so throwing caution to the wind for the remainder of the race, running out of a bit of natural talent and finding himself in the gravel trap.
Running out of natural talent and natural track.
Yes.
Bless him.
Here we go. Is this Degrassi? No, that is...
Yeah, this will be Degrassi, Cecotto,
with a Cecotto. But Degrassi's past Cecotto there.
Degrassi's past Cecotto.
So
Cecotto's on the blue and white, and then we've got Hulkenberg just behind him.
So Degrassi is still ahead of Hulkenberg. Now they've got Cecotto in the sandwich. So
now this will be fascinating because will Cecotto be able to keep Hulkenberg behind? As we asked the question, no, he won't. Hulkenberg runs a little bit wide. Wouldn't be surprised to see Cecotto try a bite of the inside. But
if he's got any sense, he'll let Hulkenberg through, try and sit as close to him as possible, which will be difficult, and
continue this learning curve that Cecotto's on.
Yeah, absolutely. Follow the champion elect, or the champion. No elect about it.
Absolutely. He's already taken that at Monza. Huge lock up there from Chandok.
Yeah.
Let's hope he keeps it on track for this one, for the remaining 9 laps.
Yeah, he seems to be a bit of a mobile chicane here. They're queuing up behind him.
Razia very eager to get past Chandok.
So we've got a whole gaggle of cars here racing for 12th position, all trying to get well, they seem to be tripping each other up.
Just wonder, Tom, that 9 laps to go, this is the final sprint race. It's like an end of term party to a certain extent when the championship is decided. There's that feel of it in there, and this will just be drivers looking to just drive that wonderful time when you don't really have to think about championship too much. You can just get out there and drive. Yeah,
I mean, there's no points for these positions, but obviously they might have a few sort of old enemies.
Old rivalries coming to the fore.
Rivalries to settle. You know, and these guys are all racing drivers, so they'll race right until they're paid to race right until the checker flag, and they will be doing just that. It doesn't matter if look at Hulkenberg pushing extremely hard for 17th.
Well, you were just saying about them driving as hard as possible, and Hulkenberg was right on the curb. You see the amount of work he's putting in there. He's closing in on Degrassi. I tell you what, he fancies a bit of Degrassi in this race, doesn't he? He's looking like he's quite keen to get past and confident that perhaps he will be able to.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, they are paid to race to the flag, and Degrassi is a car in front of him, and he needs to get in front of all the other cars before the checker flag to win the race. So he'll be pushing very, very hard just to get in front of Degrassi, even though it is for 17th place, and all reality of winning this race or getting a decent result have gone. You know, the adrenaline's pumping, and you know, he wants to get as good a result as possible. I'm sure he'll be seething as well.
Yes, absolutely, as he did with Degrassi.
The drive-through penalty, so there'll be a lot of hot heads and head shaking come the end of the race. And I'm sure the engineers have all got it in their ears by now, and the pit or the car to pit radio button has been worn out.
But great to see the drivers out there still giving it 110% even at this stage of the race. I mean,
yes.
As you said, you never know what will happen, what can happen. It's just one of those things where, you know, this is racing, and we get some changes.
Parent, this is for the final podium position.
So Parent in the blue car, Kloss in the red and yellow car. Parent, will remind you, is the homegrown hero. 8 laps to go. These guys are battling for, well, Kloss is holding off on 4th. Parent's trying to get 4th off him. They'll be trying to barge their way through.
I think the battle here is Kloss and Parent. Via looks fairly comfortable, although he's not putting away at a serious rate of knots. He doesn't seem to be under too much pressure. I think Kloss may be looking a little bit in the mirrors at the moment. Parent looks quite racy behind him.
Kloss and Veer about the same time, 33.7 to Veer, 33.6 to Kloss. Parent though 33.4, so a couple of tenths in it, but really when you can see the driver this close in front of you, Tom, there's not very much point in telling him the times. He knows the job, the dog can see the rabbit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Parent's objective now is to pass Kloss, and he can see that he's close. Obviously, if Kloss is pulling away, then he might have a little interest in what sort of times he's doing compared to his own, but he's clearly quicker, so the whole emphasis is just passing that car. And we have a...
So let's go through the running order then. Lap 7 laps to go. Felipe is in the lead with Perez, Villa, Kloss, then Parent, Nunes, Guido van der Garde and Valerio. That rules out the top 8.
Rigon and Ambrosio there.
Having a good dice as they're turning into turn 1 and then all the way through that tricky chicane. You see on board here with Hulkenberg still behind the Grazzi as they're coming through. You get some idea of how hard they have to work as they're coming through this chicane that can be used at times. Other times, turn 1 is just a fairly hard right in without the worry of that chicane, but in here for the GP2. Then he climbs back up the hill, hard left, up through the gears, over the back of the hill. The hospitality tower to the left, you can back over, then the world drops away from you, very hard braking downhill, back down through the gearbox as you're coming through. De Grassi looks like he was holding a tight line there, but ahead of De Grassi, that was Valsecchi and Razia. Razia looked like he made a move a bit wide then, perhaps Valsecchi got in front of him as they were coming through, yes. But great from Hulkenberg.
Yeah, Hulkenberg pushing very, very hard. Tyre wear will be a factor now. As I said earlier, super soft tyres, they don't use them very often. I know some of the drivers were struggling with the rears yesterday, and it's going to affect some of the cars, especially under braking, believe it or not. When those tyres get too hot, it gets very, very difficult, and you can see some of the drivers, if they're trying to brake late, they will lock the rear tyres. That'll overheat them more, and they will continue their slippery struggle.
And I would argue, Tom, that there are some drivers out here whose tyres would have degraded probably more than others. I'm thinking about the drivers who've had to have a drive-through penalty, have come back out. Like you say, maybe we have some Latin blood, fiery tempers out there. And even when you're trying to be smooth, you can't always manage it when you've got a full head of steam because of an incident.
No, absolutely. But it all depends also how close you are to the car in front. Hulkenberg will be struggling a little bit with this balance of the car because he's got to De Grassi move here.
Yeah, De Grassi, great move there. So De Grassi makes a move past Razia.
And Hulkenberg's done it.
But Razia, it almost looked like he was spooked as De Grassi went through there, just pulled it a little bit over to the left, and Hulkenberg doesn't need inviting twice. You give him an inch, he will take a mile as he barrels through on the tail of De Grassi.
Yeah, bullied out of the way there by De Grassi, and then when you look in your mirrors and see yourself side by side with the champion, it makes no sense to hold him up either. So
here is the move then, Razia to the right of the screen. De Grassi just pops up the inside.
And he's let them both through.
He didn't make that.
No, he didn't make that too hard for Hulkenberg. Obviously, he knows Hulkenberg's incredibly quick, and he'll try and sit behind those two, like Chicotto did earlier, learn something or make some places up the grid as those two continue their rise up the field.
Back up for the battle for 4th so far. That man there in the blue car wants it, Parent. That man there in the red and yellow car has it, Kloss. And before him, the final podium position is Vila, but it's all about Parent and Kloss in that battle.
The officials have now worked out that we're not going to have enough time to complete the remainder of the lap, so it is now a timed race. We have 6 minutes and 8 seconds left on the clock. On your timing screen might look slightly different. I can't work that out. We are seeing 5 minutes and 50 on the screen, and
well, I think that may be because of some delay in getting that up to us here in the commentary booth, but we'll take it at 5 minutes 42. If that's what the organisers are saying and putting up on screen, that'll be what we're operating to.
Vitaly leaving the medical centre there with a bandaged elbow, so that's great to see him.
Came away so
walking
lightly,
wounded.
Really. Absolutely, you'd take a bandaged elbow if you saw that crash again.
Absolutely.
Right, so 5 minutes 25 seconds to go. Felipe is leading this race, Perez behind him, then Villa, Kloss, Parent, the local hero. Can he get past Kloss? Can he make his way up to the podium? It will be a big ask, it has to be said, because Villa does look quite comfortable there in 3rd.
Two teammates together here. We've got Nunes and Guido van der Garde up from the back of the grid into 7th position now.
Well, Guido van der Garde started off in 23rd. There is the running order with just under 5 minutes to go. Felipe, Perez, Villa, Kloss, Parent, Nunes, Guido van der Garde, and then Valerio. Guido van der Garde started this race 23rd on the grid, had an absolute flyer whilst we had all sorts of carnage in that first start between Vitaly Petrov and Michael Herc. And Tom, that's a great drive from him, a great result here at Portimao already.
Absolutely, he's pushed very, very hard, had great pace throughout the race. You know, obviously he cannot hide away from the fact he's been helped out by a fair few mysterious drive-through penalties, but at the end of the day, he made sure he's in a position to capitalise, and he is now stuck behind his teammates. I say stuck, he looks the quicker of the two, so he'll be looking to get past Diego Nunes in the 4 minutes and 23 seconds that we have left of this race.
Yeah, just 3/100ths of a second between them on that last lap, but that really does account for nothing when you can see the car in front of you, and when it's your teammate and this is the last race of the year. You want to go out beating the man who you sit across the garage from, no matter how well you may get on or pretend you get on. At the end of the day, reality, professionalism is all put aside. You just want to beat that guy in the same car.
Yes, winning is everything, especially if you're from the same stable.
Said in a very nice, polite way.
Yes.
Push that man off where you have to.
Mr.
Right, back on board with
Degrassi.
Nico Hülkenberg having a great run out there onto the curve. He does seem to favour that wide line as he comes back up the hill. That's Degrassi in front of him. So Degrassi is in front with Valsecchi then in front of them, and Chandhok. Well, Chandhok, well, I was being quite rude about him earlier on in the race, but he's holding on there, isn't he? He has, no doubt, as you say, also been helped out by some of these. And Hülkenberg, a long look up the inside of Degrassi there. Only 3 minutes to go now. And Hülkenberg, you've just got a sense that he's probably going to throw all his eggs into one basket here, Tom, and go for one harsh move, possibly when they come around onto the final lap, and hope that will stick with Degrassi. If he can ruin Degrassi's line well enough and just get away, they seem to be so similar paced. That's got to be his tactic.
Yeah, if he's close enough, he will put a move. You know, Nico's an intelligent guy. He's not going to just barrel up the inside and climb all over the car.
Slight problem there from Degrassi as he was coming up hard onto the power, bit of a slide. Hülkenberg,
he ran wide because he saw Nico arriving at the apex rather quickly with smoke pouring off his front tyres. A little bit unnerving when you're the car in front, but Nico got it stopped. Lucas ran wide and back onto the start and finish straight. Yeah, if he's close enough, he'll put a move on him. He's not going to risk damaging either the cars for the sake of 16th position.
No, of course, nor indeed himself. He wants to finish this championship off in the best possible way. He is the champion, nothing more to gain, nothing more to learn, really. This is all now. The last 2 minutes of this race is all about one thing, and that's pride. If you can do it in a nice, clean way as they're coming around. That's Kloss going through the bottom of the screen with Parent just behind him. That's the battle for fourth. It looked like Parent was actually closing Kloss down there, so if he's brave and makes a move, he could grab fourth.
Yeah, we could see a last lap wonder, do or die move from Parent there. He is he's only half a second behind him.
Kloss slewing as they come out of Craig Jones' corner. So the back of the car twitching as he was desperately trying to get the power down. That allowed Parent just to close up by a couple of tenths more. Well, Parent will be he'll be tasting this, won't he? He'll wake up in the morning and he will taste this.
I mean, it's all very well being close this part of the lap, but it's very much single file. He needs to be a lot closer through 14. Try and pick up the toe on the exit of 15 and up start and finish straight.
So here we come.
This is enough.
Well, the slipstream could start to take effect there. This is the closest Parent has been behind Kloss, not going to make it from there. No way.
Let me tell you, Kloss is last in the late breakers. He's not scared of an accident, so he's not going to break early and let Parent through. I'll tell you that much.
Fantastic. He's not scared of an accident. Right. Well, we've got 1 minute to go before we find out just how not scared of an accident Kloss is, and well, it's going to be a bit of a wincing movement here. Parent runs wide as they start the climb back up the hill, but he's trying everything, isn't he? Like Hülkenberg on Degrassi, he's just showing the car wherever he can, maybe trying to intimidate Kloss in front of him.
Kloss is closer to having veer than he's been for the last couple of laps.
But can't take his eye off the guy behind him. He has to defend his position and attack. It's that horrible mid-ground.
Yeah, I don't think he's close enough. He doesn't have the pace to pass Javi Veer. He's going to have to hope for a mistake. He doesn't have the pace to get past him without that aid.
23 seconds to go now in this timed ending to what has been an incredibly roller coaster ride throughout this final sprint race in the GP2 series here at Portimao. The roller coaster of racing in the Algarve has given us some roller coaster driving throughout here. That massive crash at the start, 5 seconds to go. So Felipe,
is he going to take the checker flag? Which screen are we on, the computer or the TV?
Coming through to the checker flag. So there we go. Felipe has indeed taken the win in the final race of the year of the GP2 series at Portimao. Perez just behind him. And it wasn't to be for Parent. He managed 5th behind Kloss, who is in 4th. And then that means Vila did finish off that race in 3rd. That's a good result, though, by Parent. He was helped out just as the others crossed the line now. This is Hülkenberg on Degrassi, so this is the lead up to the final corner. Yeah, Hülkenberg's not going to pass Degrassi there, so a rather disappointing end for Hülkenberg's year, but still a clean drive through no fault of his own.
Well,
absolutely.
I say no through fault of his own. Obviously, he's broken the rules, or his team have broken the rules, or something or other along the line. So he had that drive-through penalty together with various other candidates.
So there is the race winner, Felipe and the Supernova racing car. It was a good drive from him, a solid drive from him from a difficult start. He is the winner here in Portimao in Portugal for the final GP2 series race of 2009. The sprint race is won and owned by Felipe. Good drive, really good solid drive, Tom, through there for Felipe.
Yeah, Luca's best result of the year, or tied his best result of the year yesterday with a second, and he's obviously come out today and won the race. So he's had his best weekend right at the end of the year, which
is good for contract time, if nothing else. If you're going to put in one best result of the year, you tend to do it on the last one. That could be quite good.
Yeah, Luke was very much a veteran. I thought he'd be slightly quicker than he's been this year, but I think he'll look to move on now from GP2. Where he goes, I'm not sure.
So here's the official classification at the end of 24 laps. Felipe it is who takes the win ahead of Perez, Vila, Kloss and Parente, having that great scrap there for 4th place. Then Nunes, Guedo van der Garde coming up from 23rd on the grid to eventually finish 7th. Valeri, Mortara, Rigon, D'Ambrosio, so fast in Monza, could only manage 11th here in this sprint race. Then Zuba and Chantuk, who'd made better than yesterday's racing where he ended up in the gravel trap. Valsecchi sees out 14th, then De Grassi and Hulkenberg, that great scrap they were having for eventually 15th and 16th places. Razzia, Johnny Cicotto does finish a race, first one of the year for him in 18th place. Kamui Kobayashi is in 19th. Pastor Maldonado 20th, and 21st and final is Texera on the Trident racing car.
Just got some classic. Well, I'm just looking here. Zuba, Valsecchi, De Grassi, Kobayashi, Hulkenberg and Maldonado were all under investigation for overtaking under the safety car. So you can say that there. Look, great to see Italian flair there from Luca.
See if you can spot the winner in Parc Ferme. He'll be the man going absolutely crazy, and quite rightly so. That's his best result of the year for Luca Felipe as he comes in, and well, you can't blame him for the exuberance. It was a good drive. It was a difficult race at the very start because of all the stoppages, so not easy for him there, but great for him. Also good for Perez and Vila as well. Perez had almost as lonely a drive out there as Felipe once things had settled down.
Well, good result for Supernova as well. We talk about the drivers, but they've got 2 cars there on the podium, so a very good result for them. And David Valsecchi obviously getting his podium position, which well, I think he's had 1 this year for Durango at the beginning of the year, so he's sort of equalled his best result as well. So, not Valsecchi, Perez. Yeah, I'm getting carried away here.
It's the emotion of the event, Tom.
It is. It's that Italian flair. It's distracting me.
Okay, so the driver Felipe now goes off to be weighed. Of course, he'll be weighed with all of his hand system and the helmet and everything, just to ensure that he falls within the in the recommended limits there, and as the rules and regulations state, of course, I'm sure he will do. Good solid result from him, good solid result as well from Perez, as you said, and Vila, our 3rd place finisher here at Portimao. Tough start to this race for everybody, Tom, given what happened with Vitaly Petrov and Herc there. Herc coming from the back of the grid, and Petrov. Well, thankfully, we saw Petrov coming out of the medical centre with his bandaged elbow. So
yeah, we'll wait to hear any information on Herc. Tough start, tough race for half the drivers. Like I said earlier, we listed a fair few that got a drive through because of overtaking under the safety car, which would have happened on that first lap. And well, for Felipe, he got his head down. I think that was
almost the perfect drive.
Yeah, one of the
almost the perfect drive for him though in the Supernova car, as you said, quite rightly so. He got his head down. He managed to keep his calm and his composure. Thankfully, he wasn't too close to the front 4-5 drivers who overtook the safety car before it had managed to pull in. Yeah, it raises a question though, Tom, about the safety car, that whole incident, in that Portimao is a pretty unique track in that that whole final corner is unsighted. You peel into it virtually blind. Well, you are blind. You can't see anything outside of it. If the safety car has come down and is peeling off, then the drivers should be operating under the lights. Lights have gone out, which will tell us that the safety car is coming in. They know the safety car is coming in, but it's not easy for a driver at 130, 140 miles an hour trying to build onto that start-finish straight and get the best possible restart they can.
It's not easy for Zuber for the reasons that I discussed earlier, and it's not easy for Valsecchi, De Grassi, Kobayashi, Hulkenberg and Maldonado, who are next in the queue, because what do? You suddenly hit the brakes, which would have caused a huge accident? What do? So they've been led into a situation blindly by Zuber, of which they then have no control of, and they've now been penalised for.
So here we go, let's see if we can spot the winner as he comes out. I think he'll basically give the game away by the fact that he's bouncing around the podium like a mad thing, and quite rightly so. Luca Felipe it is who takes the top step on the podium.
Great result for
Perez, brilliant
Rookie
there.
it.
And then Vila seeing him there in third place as well. Perez, that is a great result for him. You're absolutely right, Tom. Brilliant result for him at Portugal and Portimao. And let's have the national anthem. So Luca Felipe, the man who is standing on top of the podium, he has won the final race of the GP2 series of 2009 here at Portimao, the sprint race. It started off in very tricky circumstances, ended brilliantly for that man, the Supernova racing driver, Luca Felipe, who enjoyed the national anthem, his Italian national anthem, as much as anybody else ever does on top of the podium. Great result for him, great result for the Supernova team.
Dan Walmsley there, his engineer.
Dan Walmsley applauding as vehemently as anybody else does for their drivers when they've got such a great result there. Perez in second, and then we've got Vila in third. So a great result there, first and third for the Supernova team. And that's it from Portimao. Thanks for joining us throughout the year. We'll see you very soon from me, Tony Carter, and Tom Gamer. Bye for now.